Hey everybody, I'm Jenny Harkleroad. I'm the owner of Balance You, where business owners hire us to reprogram their minds for ultimate success. I'm super excited that I'm here today with Kale with Easier Accounting. He is going to be telling us all sorts of money tricks that you don't want to miss out on, that you'll definitely want to know if you're a successful business owner. So welcome, Kale. Thanks for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So tell us a little background on you, brag a little bit, tell us some cool stuff about you and your business. And I think you own multiple businesses. So if you want to tell us more, go for it.
Yeah, so I'm kind of more the entrepreneurial, type of individual. I actually worked for an accounting firm several years ago, back in 2002, 2003, 2004. I ended up starting my own business in 2006. So I kind of had the background and history of working for an accounting firm. And then from 2006 to 2008, I had, the history of being, a startup entrepreneur and business owner. And I had several things going. And somehow, I partnered back up with some accountants and we decided to open up an accounting firm. And the whole goal of the accounting firm was to be entrepreneurs, servicing entrepreneurs in the accounting space, how they need to be serviced, because that's one of the biggest things that we've seen lacking from my experience of being an entrepreneur and working at an accounting firm. And so that's kind of how we began what we started in the early stages. So that's what got us here. So
Perfect. So what was actually lacking that frustrated you as an entrepreneur, that you're like, oh my gosh, I need this to be like this, not like that? What was missing?
The biggest thing is communication, reliability, affordability are kind of like top of the list. And people just don't understand. I mean, so many accountants, they come out of school, they go to work at a firm, and they don't really understand what it's like to be a business owner. They don't understand that business owners are on the go and they want to focus their time on the money making duties of their business, the things that they're good at. They don't want to focus on the accounting side. And so the biggest thing that's lacking is they need an accountant that's going to not just wait for them to come see them, because the entrepreneurs aren't going to do that, because they don't even know what questions to ask. They don't know what duties they should be doing in their accounting. They're just hoping they can hire someone that's going to just do it for them. And that's never the case. And so we kind of take the proactive approach versus the reactive approach, where we actually reach out, we service things every month, we call the client, we kind of hold them accountable to get us the things that we need to make sure that they're serviced properly. And that's kind of what Easier Accounting's been built on, is not only doing the work for them, but holding the client accountable to get us the information we need to do the best possible job. So
I love that. And I am a client of yours, and I have found that. And not only for taxes and bookkeeping, but you guys are doing my payroll. And I actually get like reminders like, hey, it's time to process your payroll. I never got that before, even with the big companies that I was doing. It was all on me, right? Which, that's okay. I'm a grown up. But it's nice to be like, just a little friendly reminder, because I know you're an entrepreneur and buried in a million different projects right now, promoting your business. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I kind of touched on it real quick, but what are all the different services that you guys offer?
So we do everything from entity structuring and restructuring, because a lot of times that's one of the biggest mistakes that we see when people first come to us, is they're not even structured properly or flowing their money properly to maximize their tax savings. A lot of times they're overpaying and they don't even know it, that there's things they could do to reduce taxes just by being structured properly and flowing their money properly. So we do a lot of that. We do some consulting. We figure out their business, what state they're in, all the ins and outs that we need to know to give them a proper consultation on how they should be structured and how they should flow their money. And then we can actually go and set those things up with them. So we do entity restructuring, LLCs, S corporations, C corporations, even some nonprofits. But then we also do bookkeeping. So that's a big important thing. A lot of people kind of let that slide and it becomes a huge mess. And that's where a lot of problems can be caused. So we're very, very good at being proactive with the bookkeeping. We do tax preparation, tax planning, amended reviews, amended returns, and payroll services as well. So.
Wow, that's a lot. And that's so nice to have it all in one place, right? As a business owner, instead of like, okay, checking here, then checking here and checking there, it's like all there. And probably easier for you guys too, right? To have your finger on the pulse of it all.
It is. I mean, we do still to this day have some clients that, they got like some family friend CPA that they love, and they don't want to break up with that person, but they also, their CPA doesn't want to do all this extra stuff for them. And it does actually cause a little bit of messiness at times where it's like just one more person in the mix that doesn't need to be there. But at the same time, we respect people want what they want. You know, we're not going to push them to do something they don't want to do, but we know it can be cleaner in some situations by having them.
Yeah, yeah. So what is the biggest problem that you guys run into when people hand over their books to you guys? What do you catch the most that other CPAs miss?
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and it's a lot of different categories too. I mean, we see from people not even taking their standard deductions properly. We see, especially in startups, if people are kind of in the first year or two of business, a lot of times their CPAs and their accountants aren't even taking the deductions, everything they're eligible for, because there are rules within the CPA or in the tax code with the IRS that a lot of people don't realize, like startup phase. You know, a lot of people don't realize like they are out of startup phase, and their CPA doesn't even realize they're out of startup phase, and because they haven't had those conversations. And so we see a lot of people that aren't even taking all their business deductions because their CPA is afraid they're going to get audited. And nobody wants to deal with that, the CPA or the client, right? But we want to help you take everything that you're legally eligible to take. And so we can help people to get out of startup phase, or we can go find out by looking into their situation that they're already out of startup phase to make sure they're taking all the deductions they're eligible for. They're taking them 100% versus depreciating them in certain categories. And then a lot of times people are just missing things like their personal, even in their personal life. They're not taking their full standard deductions or taking things above and beyond their standard deductions. And so those are some of the big things we see in the beginning stages. So there's a lot of categories. I mean, we could talk for a long time on this, but there's a lot of things that people just don't even do outside the norm too. Like if they're younger and they still have kids at home, there's a lot of things you can do to give your kids duties of the business and flow money that way to save you a lot of money. There's Augusta rules where you can use your home, not only just for home business deductions, but actually use your home for like a venue and meetings and actually take up to $12,000 in deductions there. So there's actually a lot of things you can do that as CPAs don't even advise on because they're just not taking that proactive approach. So.
Thank you for reminding me about that Augusta rule. Your team told me and I had already forgotten. So yeah. I need to plan something quick.
Yeah. That'll be one of the next steps with you, especially is we'll sit down and we'll kind of fine tune a plan to make sure none of that gets missed throughout the rest of the year, so you can get the maximum deduction there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you said you're in Utah, is that correct?
Yeah, we're in Utah.
I'm in California. Are you anywhere in the U.S.? Who do you work with?
Yeah, so our hub is here in Utah, but we are nationwide. Everything nowadays is virtual. Everything's over the cloud, and that's kind of why we named it actually Easier Accounting when we rebranded a few years ago is we were kind of like thinking, man, these softwares make everything easier. And we were already nationwide before all these softwares kind of advanced, but it was a lot harder to be nationwide. Nowadays, it's a ton easier because so many softwares are already built. Everything's on the cloud. Softwares are built to manage sales tax better. They're, state to state, city to city, county to county. So we have all the tools and things we need to be able to service people nationally. We set up probably 300 to 400 different business structures every month, and we do them nationwide. So we have clients in all 50 states. So
that's impressive because, what you're doing is already very complicated, and to customize it for each state, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. So that's powerful and awesome. And like you said, if it's just built into your softwares on what the requirements are for each state, I can see that it makes it a little less crazy than trying to remember it all. Yeah. For sure. So you have this business, you have other businesses, you are truly an entrepreneur. So you understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur and to keep as much money as you can and pay the least in taxes is, of course, we would rather have it than giving it away.
Absolutely.
So I remember back when I was in real estate, one of my first years in real estate, I was so excited. I made like $250,000, which from a stay-at-home mom to that was like crazy, right?
Yeah, that's great.
And it was great until it was tax time. And then, it was like, whoever I hired, I can't remember who it was back then. This was a long time ago. It was like I owed $50,000, and I was like, oh, man, I don't want to give away $50,000. And I'm guessing if I was working with you, it probably would have been a little less than that. So
Definitely.
it's so
Yeah.
important to work with somebody who can really save you. And I mean, you don't want to give it away. And just like you said, you can strategize throughout the year. How's things looking? What else can we do? Who can we hire? What can we buy? What can we invest in? All those things.
Absolutely.
To secure our own future. Because that's why we're entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
So we can live the dream. Absolutely.
Going back to actually when you brought up some of the biggest problems that you see, that's it. That's the biggest problem is people, they don't plan enough and they avoid it because nobody likes to deal with the tax side of things. And it's the most boring part of the business. And it's like the most damaging too. So, I mean, people are like, man, they don't want to know what they owe the IRS, right? So that is the biggest problem is people don't plan ahead. It's like everything in business. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. I mean, everyone's heard that saying, and it's so true even on the tax side. If you plan ahead and you don't avoid it, it's actually going to make things easier at tax time for you. It's actually going to save you time throughout the year, but it's also going to save you a boatload of money as well, because there are things you can strategize on, not only just deductions, but like you said, investments. I mean, a lot of times people end up at the end of the year by doing some beginning of the year planning, mid-year planning, and year-end tax planning. They actually know throughout the year, okay, I've made this much. They're able to forecast and project, and then they can do things like, well, maybe rather than setting aside the minimums in some IRAs or some 401ks, I can do a self-employed IRA, or I can do a solo 401k, where I can actually contribute up to $55,000 tax-free, and then I can actually use that money to invest where I want to tax-free and build it and compound it tax-free. So there's a lot of things that people don't think of that we can actually do at the end of the year to save them from just giving it to the IRS. Rather than giving 50 grand to the IRS, let's give it to you in this form over here and reduce that. So
yeah, I love
that's
that.
how planning is. So
yeah. And something I loved about you guys too is, again, because you're business minded, you understand investing in business.
Yeah.
And honestly, in the past, when I would have a bookkeeper and they're, an employee and they're not used to business numbers, they'd be like, hey, you're like kind of overspending on your advertising and marketing. I'm like, no, I mean to. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
We're building the pipeline.
Yeah.
And so with you guys, it's like, awesome. Like, I don't feel that resistance that I was always like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to show my bookkeeper what I'm spending, which is, it's good. I believe in it. Obviously, I'm doing it. But without a business mind, it's spending, not investing. So I love that with you guys. It's I'm comfortable. Here it all is. Here's what I'm doing.
You got to invest to level up in your business. People want to grow. They don't want to stay stagnant. They want to grow. So yeah, investing is huge into, buckets like marketing. And as you get more familiar with your team as well, don't be afraid to make some customizations within your books as well. Like, we can fine tune your books to be like, okay, I got, A, B, and C buckets that I'm putting marketing into, and I want to see fine-tuned numbers on how this one's ROI is backing out versus this one and this one. So you can actually build that within your books. So you can have your Facebook ads in its own category, and you can have your, maybe your local ads in another category, or your Google ads in another category. And that way you really know how each one's backing out. And that's another important topic too, is like, if you get in the habit of meeting with your accountant every month and going over your financials every month, it's giving you the information you need to grow and scale your business. And that way you can make better moves rather than more mistakes. So
that's huge. I love that. Yeah. And you guys, like you said, your pricing is great, really competitive. And I mean, I met you guys through a free offer. You usually offer a resource of like, hey, let's talk. Let's just strategize. And maybe you'll offer that to my audience today. I don't know. What do you think?
Absolutely. We've been very good about that. That's how we've built our business since 2008. So the last 11 years is we've been always willing to help people and give value first, so that we want to make sure we're the right fit for people as well. We don't want people to hire us unless we know we can help them. So absolutely. I would welcome your audience definitely to reach out to us. We'll do a free strategy session, spend an hour with you going through your hurdles on the accounting and customize it to what you need in your business. And if we're the right fit, absolutely, we'd love to earn your business. But we want to give that value first and show people how we can help them before we just sign them up, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that hour, is it just on accounting, or can you discuss other things as well, like entities and such?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do that a lot. A lot of that depends. So it's hard to give tax advice generally because everybody is in a different situation. Like, for example, an entrepreneur, stay-at-home mom might be kicking butt and her husband's still working at a regular job. So we want to make sure we consult on their structure properly to where it's going to reduce liability, but also going to create the maximum amount of tax savings. Like, do we want the LLC to just stay a sole proprietorship and pass deductions through to help minimize, the husband's income until the business is profitable? Or do we want to switch it to an S corporation right now and set up things like payroll in order to reduce like the self-employment taxes? So those are some of the first things that we try to identify in that hour-long strategy session, so that we can show them like, hey, there's some things just in the structure alone that are going to save you $5,000-$10,000 a year in taxes, just for example. But that is a big thing, is the structuring. That's kind of one of the first things we touch on when we do that strategy session.
Perfect. So how do they get a hold of you for that?
Yeah, so easieraccounting.com. It's pretty simple. You can always go there. You can fill out a form for us to contact you. You can give us a call on our toll-free number. It's 888-620-0770. Or you can email me directly, just Kale, Kale, at easieraccounting.com. And if they're from your group, your audience, and they've been watching this, I would prefer they let me know, like, hey, we're coming from Jenny's audience, so that, we can give you credit for that as well. So
awesome. Jenny said it's free. Say that. Just the hour, not everything.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here with us today, Kale. It's been great working with you and your team. I've been super impressed, which is why I have you on this call today, because it's so important as you're growing a business to have a team in place and have a team that you can really count on and trust, and they're so knowledgeable and they impress you with what they do, and the cost is great. I mean, it's been amazing. So thank you for your service and your business. It's great.
That's great to hear. It's such a compliment to hear. I really appreciate that. And we're excited to do more business with you as well. And we're looking forward to seeing how you grow and being a part of it. So awesome.
You're speaking at my event in October. I can't wait for that. Yeah.
Me too.
On Limits Live. It's going to be great. So, all right. Thanks for being here. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Right. Bye, Jenny.
Bye-bye.